Hear that? The next chapter of Audi performance is here. That's the sound of every interior detail refined. And that's the sound of Quattro all-wheel drive. The all-new Audi Q5, the all-new A5, and Q7. Each one a statement. Performance never goes out of style.
Did you know that parents rank teaching financial literacy as the toughest life skill? That's where Greenlight comes in, the debit card and money app made for families. With Greenlight, you can send money quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and track spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn how to earn, save, and spend responsibly, while parents have peace of mind knowing smart money habits are being built. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/Spotify.
I could understand why everyone was either just like saying it was an amazing film, Stanley Kubrick, yes, this is genius. I'm not a huge Kubrick fan either, so I hated this film, and I even had a discussion about it with someone who was in love with the film, and I had my against. I rewatched it on my own one Christmas, and I kind of was just mesmerized. It was like I'd watched it for the first time, and I realized, wait, this film, this is layers, this is amazing. But also what helped is I read the original book it was based on.
Hey everyone, the Flixwatcher guests today are Katie.
Hello!
Liz.
Hi!
And Kobe.
Hello!
And we're going to be discussing Eyes Wide Shut.
Thank you as always to the mighty people for their mighty tunes, and thanks to Ben from Rocket Audio for editing this podcast. Head to all our social media platforms. We're on Twitter at FlixWatcherPod and on all the other platforms at Flixwatcher. We may or may not be on TikTok yet. We haven't really sorted that one out yet.
Hello film fans, our guests today are Liz and Katie. Over to you please, Liz, to say hello to our listeners and tell them a little bit more about who you are and what you do, please.
Sure, I'm Liz Slade. I'm a very big film fan. I go to the cinema multiple times a week, and I go to lots of special screenings and Q&As, and I have an embarrassing number of cinema memberships, which I think is about 8 from when I last counted. I'm a lawyer in my day job, but film is my passion.
Do you always force yourself to go to cinema even when there's nothing that interesting on, or do you wait for the peaks?
I can pretty much always find something to watch. I also, because I go to the Prince Charles a lot, they show a lot of classic films, so there's usually always something I can go and see.
That's fair. Because when I got my Cineworld card for the first time, it was then I kind of realised that I'd be at home like 4 o'clock and think, normally I think what's on the TV, but then open up the option of what's in the cinema. What can I go to the cinema? And I was like, such a cool thing, but you've got like 8 cinema options to go to. So the whole world's your oyster. With an Oyster card as well, I'm sure, to get you to places.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I would say I probably go to the unlimited ones the most, like the Everyman, the Odeon, the ones where it goes on, where I can sort of just pay a monthly fee. But the other one I'd probably say go to the most is the Prince Charles. I love that place.
Yeah. Hopefully it still maintains its place in the world. Katie, who are you?
I'm Katie, or should I full name myself? I'm Katie Hogan, and I'm the co-deputy editor of Filmhounds, as well as one of the co-hosts of the Filmhounds podcast. And then by day, I work in film sales and distribution.
How does your podcast work? What do you guys do in your podcast? Are you weekly reviews, or what's your vibe?
I was going to give away our game, but just be like, we just chat.
That's fine.
We'll try to concentrate on like films that we've seen recently and then just talk about that. But sometimes we'll have a theme. I would say like we're still figuring it out. But as I say, we've actually roped Liz into an episode as well. So she got the guest treatment. We were just chatting about films, and we were defending Lord of the Rings against the other hosts of the podcast.
We did. And I did one where we talked just about the Prince Charles, which was wonderful. One of my favourite topics. So that was good fun.
Well, if you want other hosts, I'm sure Helen or himself would happily join you.
Yes, we would love that. Yeah.
What do you mean by defending Lord of the Rings? Was there dissenter?
Who hates the Lord of the Rings? Out them.
So I don't know. I don't want to say they hate them, but I think they were just they weren't being very fair to these masterpieces. It was Paul and David, who are the hosts of the podcast. They make fun of the fact that we love Lord of the Rings, and I just don't understand why.
I understand why.
What?
Gosh. We were getting on so well, Kobe.
Oh man, I took a nosedive.
It's fine. 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 I would have been rubbish in that debate because that would be my argument. It's fine. It's just, it's okay.
Oh my gosh.
Sacrilege.
We're going to have a wider discussion just about Lord of the Rings, I think.
Exactly. I feel like we need to move on from this now, Kobe.
The thing that will really bake a noodle is that I actually think I prefer the Hobbit films to Lord of the Rings.
Oh, God.
Dear.
No.
So, we're here to talk about...
You can't just drop that.
You can't just say that and then move on. Oh my God.
So we're here to talk about your choice, Katie, which is Eyes Wide Shut. Can you tell us, first of all, why you chose it? And then give us the synopsis. Sorry.
That's okay. So I chose Eyes Wide Shut because when I first watched this film, I hated it. And I could understand why everyone was either just like saying it was an amazing film, Stanley Kubrick, yes, this is a genius. I'm not a huge Kubrick fan either. So I hated this film. And I even had a discussion about it with someone who was in love with the film and I rewatched it on my own one Christmas and I kind of was just mesmerized. It was like I'd watched it for the first time and I realized, wait, this film, this is layers, this is amazing. But also what helped is I read the original book it was based on. And I think that was a big eye-opener. So, yeah, sorry.
I see what you did there.
Is that
Nice, Kate. Nicely done.
showing us what we could have had by reading the book?
Yes.
Right.
But yeah, I'll yeah.
The 60-second synopsis starts now.
It's about a Manhattan doctor who embarks on a bizarre night-long journey after his wife admits to him that she's been having some weird dreams and about unfulfilled desire.
Fair enough. 23 seconds. Liz, had you seen this before? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, so fun fact, I saw this film when it came out in the cinema with my ex-boyfriend. There's a choice. I just could not think of a more inappropriate film to see with your ex-partner.
So what year did this come out again?
99.
The golden year of cinema.
Yeah, so I was a lot younger then. So yeah, I remember being slightly horrified at what the film was, given who I was watching it with. I didn't love it then. I still don't love it now. But yeah, we can go into that in a little bit more detail.
Let's go into that detail.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think it's too long. I think the script needs to be shorter. I think some of the dialogue is too long and clunky. Some of the scenes are too long. I'm just talking generally from a story structure perspective. Initially, I think the script needs to be tighter and it needs to be more tightly edited. And I think there are some unnecessary scenes in there, which if I was the editor, I just would have totally cut out, including the bit with the man who died in the bed and the woman who says that she's in love with Tom Cruise. I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck all of that was about, and I don't know why they kept that in. And the whole scene with, I mean, there's a lot we can talk about here, but with Lily Sobieski, if I'm pronouncing her name correctly, I mean, I would have cut that out because I think it doesn't add anything other than making it more of, there's a lot of a darkness in this world that's going on in his evening.
Which is the Lily Sobieski, sorry?
She's the young girl, but she was 14 when they filmed this, and it's just so wildly...
So which young girl?
So
she goes to rent the costume.
In the costume shop,
okay.
and
She was 14.
She was 14. So she was 16 apparently when it came out. She was 14 when they filmed
that doesn't count.
Scene, and she's there in her underwear, and it's just, oh God, it's so wildly wrong and inappropriate. In my opinion, never should have been filmed, never should have been kept in the film. I mean, I realise it was a different time, but come on. I don't know what you guys think about that.
I mean, not quite millenniums, is it? So that's when true enlightenment happened.
What do you think, Katie? What do you think about that scene?
The costume.
I mean,
that's the bit you loved.
It's my favourite bit. I love that guy who runs the costume shop.
That was the one you hated, and then you loved it.
To be honest, I get what you mean, because when I first watched it, I was like, I agree. Too long. Why are all these things happening? Why do we care about the dead man in the bed? Why is this girl with these Japanese men? There are parts where I do think, is this serving the story? But as much as it is uncomfortable to watch, there's a purpose for it.
What's the purpose?
For the dead guy in the bed, and for his daughter to be like, I love you, and I don't want to be with my boyfriend, I want to be with you. It's important because, first off, isn't he high? He is high as a kite when he goes to the dead man in the bed. And this is like the beginning of the journey of bizarre crap happening. And to go and have to, first off, he's one of his patients who's been around for a while, so he's kind of close to the family, he knows them, and he's high, he's confronted by this woman who's like, I've been in love with you. He's like, what are you talking about? I had no inclination you were in love with me. This is weird and uncomfortable. I'm going to leave now. And then he just continues on, and it's like, dare I say it, like an Alice in Wonderland situation where he just keeps going further and further and further down a rabbit hole of bizarre stuff. So every part of the journey on its own, if you look at it, is not important. But if you look at it as an entire journey, it's a stepping stone to even crazier things happening. And yes, like a woman saying like, I'm in love with you may not seem weird, but if you're high as a kite and this comes out of nowhere, this is a really bizarre thing to happen to him. It's also really early in the morning. Is it like 1 a.m. or something? It seems to be a reason for everything. But yeah, for the main part, it's part of a bigger journey, hence why like you need these uncomfortable things to happen.
Helen.
Yeah, so I remember this coming out and it just being such a massive thing because it was Kubrick's last film and it was Tom and Nicole together. And I remember watching it about 20 years ago and going, that was a film. And it came onto Netflix like a while ago and I was like, I really need to rewatch it. I really need to rewatch it. I really need to rewatch it and reevaluate it. So when you picked it, I was like, yes. And I really like it. There's obviously a lot of stuff that is really wrong with it and wouldn't get made now. But I just think it's such a fascinating film. Like, first off, like, they're so unbelievably gorgeous, both of them. I'm obsessed with them in this and obsessed with them as a couple. I'm obsessed with the fact that there's a door that Tom Cruise was made to walk through like 95 times. But like, I think what you were saying about the journey, like he goes through this journey and basically he goes to all these places which he thinks he has the right to kind of be in them and be in that world, but he doesn't. And each stage he goes through, the world is telling him, this is not your place. This is not where you belong. You are not part of this. But he doesn't listen. And he keeps kind of pushing and pushing and pushing in his very selfless quest. But he gets no reward from it. So like this entire film, like he is set up to have sex and he doesn't have any sex at all.
Yes,
like he is
No,
constantly cock-blocked. Like he does not get any satisfaction. He gets nothing from it. In the end, it's like a completely wasted journey. And like,
no, but Helen, you're right, because I've actually got written in my notes like Tom Cruise didn't even get a shag after all that.
Yeah.
This is like
everything he goes
one of the
through.
Kubrick mind games as well for Tom Cruise and the actor of Cruise playing this role. And then you watch it and you're like, oh, this is Epstein, isn't it? These are the Epstein parties. This is all of that. And like the whole thing about the orgy, I remember when it came out and everyone was like, oh, there's going to be sex in it, it's going to be orgies. And everyone was like, oh, yeah, not really sure about that. It's kind of like this whole kind of build up around it. And it's just a bit like, oh, actually, that doesn't really look that fun. So, and
That's why I liked it.
I just wanted to say, yeah, like Nicole Kidman's slutty little glasses. Oh my God, she looks so amazing in it. And the last word, Stanley Kubrick's cinematic word ever, is fuck.
Yes.
And that is a way to mic drop your way
Your
out
exit.
of cinema. Yeah. So yeah, it's long. It looks gorgeous. There's so many things that I really like about it, but I appreciate that it's not for everyone.
Oh yeah.
And possibly not for Kobe.
KB.
Your expression kind of says
Yes, I think you should tell us what you think, Kobe.
Helen's right, it's not for me, this film. So we talked about the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and my main problem with the Lord of the Rings trilogy is I don't get why they're on this quest in the first place. I just don't understand the whole quest. For me, it seems like some knobhead made some rings and he made one extra special one for himself, and then they've got to get rid of it. And I'm like, so we're watching 3 films to see them get rid of this ring. That sets me up to be like unhappy with the whole story. 9 hours, coming up to 12 hours if you're watching the whole unedited version. So this film, Eyes Wide Shut, you got the story of a petulant man whose wife tells him she's had a fantasy, or not even a fantasy, she just said, well, I was just thinking about this guy once when we were fucking. And I was like, okay,
Why
fine.
would she tell him that?
Which was bi.
No, but also it's like, okay, I'm sure many people have thought about other people at some point in their life when they're intimate with someone else. And this is what causes him to spiral. Maybe he's high, okay, sure. But this is the catalyst for him to spiral, because all the time it's interjected with those black and white scenes of always Nicole naked. You don't see him naked, but it's interjected with scenes of her having sex and intimate with this one guy. And that's what drives him to go to the next thing, to go to the next thing, to go to the next thing. And each time, as Helen says, people saying you don't belong here, or you shouldn't be, is like, nah, I'm quite rich, so
I'm going to flash my doctor's ID to
gonna
get into
go.
buildings.
How often?
I love it.
That was hilarious. How often
yeah.
does he flash that doctor's ID?
I'm
By the
gonna-
way,
I'm
I'm a
gonna keep on
doctor.
going.
Here's my card. Like
So it keeps on going to the next thing, and each of the next things aren't that kind of dumb. Like, he's accosted by the sex worker, goes into her hotel, into her room, into their apartment. Nothing happens ultimately because he gets a phone call from his wife and he decides to leave at that point. But then he goes back there, which is, I was like, it was quite nice. He gave the money you agreed to, came out with some cookies, and then you agreed to buy her roommate. And you're like, okay, it's going to be hot and heavy with her. And it gets a bit steamy for a second. Then she goes, hold on, my roommate is HIV positive. And then she goes, well, I'm going to leave now. And you kind of like, well,
that was
I don't
so
understand.
odd. That whole
That
bit.
was such a weird fucking scene. That scene with the girl, you see it once at the start with the guys, and then she goes back there, and then suddenly the guys are allowed to be there, and the dad has like agreed it's happened. So now you're saying that she's 14. That makes it even far grosser than I thought it was. I don't know, maybe in story canon she was at least 16, but that's still like, when I saw it I thought she was at least like 19, but I don't really know what was going on in that story there.
She's a child.
And then the orgy scene was just weird as well, and ultimately I didn't see the point of the whole film. And trying to break it down, it comes down to the fact that this is one petulant man who's like his wife told him a story that she had a fancy about him, and that happened because at the start of the film they're at a party and she was like, oh, did you have sex with those ladies? And it's like, no. Then they go, well, guys need to have sex with other women because we're guys. That's how it starts. Women are not genetically built that way.
No, there's a lot of misogyny in this film, isn't there?
That's what set me up against this film right from the start. So it never pulled that back. It's just him going on again. Story of a petulant child going through the film, and that's
you would
that's
have
what put me through that.
it's very Kubrick. You would have a very different film now if a female director remade this film. And when I think it was you, Helen, talking about Nicole Kidman's always like the nude flashbacks of her, whereas Tom Cruise is not naked at all. If it was remade now, the male lead would be naked. They would both be equally, because everyone would comment on the fact that it's very odd if it's just the woman. You know, as we see in Oppenheimer, when Florence Pugh and Cillian Murphy, because we live in a different world now, but it's very of its time. I mean, it feels a lot like a male fantasy, the orgy,
But it's not even sexy.
but it's not sexy. And do you know what the other weird thing is, Helen, when you mentioned because Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman at the time, because I saw it when it came out, are massive stars and everyone was sort of obsessed with their marriage. But the really interesting thing is they have zero chemistry in this film. I think it's really funny. They're married, but there's no real spark between them. You can let me know what you think, but I think it feels very cold.
So I just remembered, what was that nightmare dream she was having? Because it wasn't a nightmare, she was laughing. And then she discloses this horrible dream. I can't remember what the story of the dream was.
Horrible nightmare where she had sex with lots and lots of men.
Oh, is that what it was?
It's like she's at the orgy that he's just been to in secret.
Yes, that's what it's meant to reflect.
Was she there though? Where did that mask come from? That was by the side of the bed.
He left it behind. So and she found it. And that's what sparks off the little bit of a breakdown that he has at the end and having to tell her the truth.
Do you know, I think they filmed that scene wrong in terms of how it's edited. This is just my personal opinion. But before he opens the door to go into the apartment, you see the mask on the pillow next to sleeping Nicole Kidman. And then he goes through the thing, he comes into the room, and then he sees the mask. But you already know it's there. Whereas I think it should have just been him coming in and then suddenly, there's a scene of her, the mask is on the pillow, but you already know it's there. I don't know why they filmed it like that. It would have had more shock value if it was revealed to him and the audience at the same time, is my opinion.
That would have been good.
We'll never know.
Would that have solved the film?
Yes.
It would not fix the film for me.
Everything fixed, just with that small edit. So everything that you're saying, absolutely understand it. But the thing is, this is the reason why I like it. So there are a lot of films out there that will have no point to it, and it's just you're watching things unfold. There's no story that connects it together, and you're just kind of like, okay, right, that's fine. I have to disagree with you. I think there is a point to this, but you've already said it as well. This is literally just the story of a man who cannot take the fact that his wife had a sex dream about somebody else. And he becomes so fixated on it that he just thinks, I've got to do something. Because the way it starts out, their life is very humdrum. Yes, they're obviously wealthy because their apartment's amazing. And it's very humdrum. Like, they do their jobs, they've got their kid, they go to this party. Yes, stuff happens. And it's kind of like things just fold out. You see him in his surgery. And there's nothing really exciting. And so it's sort of like, it's as if it pisses him off that the most exciting thing to happen to his wife is to have a sex dream or anything like thinking about someone else during sex, that he just can't handle it. And you're right, he is a petulant child because, yes, Ellen, you also said, like, he starts going to all these places where he thinks he has the right and the privilege to go to, when really he's got no right. He's a doctor. He's not part of this elite, even though he's got a glimpse of it, but he could never quite fit into it, and he never should. But the story, for me, I think, is that it's just about this one man trying to have revenge on the fact that he didn't like his wife having a sex dream, and he ends up, things just escalate. And to the point where he seems like a person he just can't let shit go. So, you know, when he goes back to the house and he's like, I'm going to go back there and I'm going to talk to, no, you're not. They're going to give you a little envelope and tell you to fuck off. And you're going to be like, oh shit, I better go. And it's kind of like, he doesn't really realize that everything he's been trying to do over the last couple of days is going to come to a very blunt ending. And it happens when he sees the mask, and it's sort of like a realization like.
This podcast is supported by FX's English Teacher. Last year's critically acclaimed series returns to follow Evan, Gwen, and Marky as they vie for their students' divided attention. See why Cosmopolitan called its premiere season a masterclass of comedy, while Glamour raved it's the year's funniest and most heartwarming new comedy series. FX's English Teacher, all new Thursdays on FX. All episodes now streaming on Hulu.
New Icy Hot. Nighttime recovery. Relieves pain at nighttime while your body recovers. Icy Hot. You're so back.
What the fuck have I been doing for 2 days?
When he starts crying. Yeah.
Yes, when he has his breakdown.
He actually realizes he's done something wrong.
Yeah, and it's just like everything is questionable because he's witnessed all these questionable things. Even like trying to get into the morgue with flashing his doctor's ID, like
it's totally unhinged.
Yeah, I was like, hold on, it's okay. I'm a doctor. I can go and see people dead.
You cannot do that.
It's also him, like, he imagines so much stuff has happened and his imagination is kind of filling in the gaps, like with what happens with the piano player, which I just find hilarious that they just like hire this piano player to come blindfold.
I was like, couldn't they just put a CD on?
Oh my God.
On. I'm sure they've got a good surround sound system from back in the 90s.
His fantasy leads him to think that, you know, this piano player has been disposed of in some unsavoury way, when really he's probably just been sacked and told the gig's over. But his insistence of him being like the centre of the universe and everything revolving around him, he creates like he's being watched and it's a conspiracy and it's all these things, even though everyone is like, it's not, like, it's really not. You just don't know what you're getting into it.
Did you not think he was killed, the pianist?
No. I think they just
You don't.
put him on a plane, sent him home. Like,
I assumed that he was killed, but do
Lost
you not
the gig
think he
on
was?
that. Yeah, serves him right.
well, the thing is, when Sidney Pollack, his character, he's sort of like, nah, she just got fucked and got high and left.
You saw how she was. You basically stopped her from dying before.
It's all pantomime, and it's kind of like, so the party, if you can call it a party, some
Do
weird...
you mean the orgy or the first party? Sorry.
Sorry, yeah, not the actual party. I mean, I guess you can call it the orgy. When they have the ritual and then you go into other rooms and everyone's just quietly watching people have sex.
In a really unsexy kind of way.
Yeah, everything feels staged. But we're also seeing everything's from his point of view. So it's almost as if everything is being staged and set up for him. So from a different point of view, we might see how it's viewed differently. But from his point of view, everything is being set up just for him. And because he's the main character, if you get what I'm saying. So if we saw this from one of the women who was in the ritual circle, it might be very different. And then the other woman who's like, I vouch for him, take me instead. She's probably very high and she's just sort of like going for the ride. And this is just a Friday night for her. But to him, this is a magnificent opportunity. This is just all for him. And then it all comes crashing down when they're like, password, Fidelio. No, you can't just keep saying Fidelio and just walk everywhere you want.
In your Halloween fancy dress cloak.
Love it, yeah.
Turning up in your taxi.
Turning up in a taxi to a manor house in England. But anyway.
Yeah.
But it's all part of the ritual. It's all staged. Everything is fake. And he's looking for a deeper meaning when there isn't one. It's just rich people having a party or an orgy.
Yeah, but I think at the same time when, like, even though you're right, there's something of the pantomime about the whole thing, there is this darkness underneath all of it, is that these women are probably trafficked or forced into it in some way. There is a real darkness underneath all of this supposed, not glamorous, but, elite kind of running around in masks kind of thing.
I think there's a darkness throughout the whole thing because it starts off with that woman saying she's been in love with the doctor this entire time. And that's kind of dark because then she's just happily like greeting her fiance and you're like, you just confessed your love to somebody else. Then the costume shop with the underage girl and then the father agreeing for the underage girl to have sex with the older men. And then the party, obviously the meaning beneath what these girls or what these women are actually going through. It kind of gets darker and darker and darker. But I quite like the whole pantomime and then the darkness underneath. And weirdly, it's satisfying.
Like if you watch a lot of Lynch, then a lot of Lynch is like that.
Should we head to the scores, guys? If there's anything else, obviously we'll talk about it as we're breaking down the scores.
I've got one more little side commentary that I think is quite interesting because you mentioned Sidney Pollack being in this. Okay. So he plays Ziegler, and obviously, so there's actually two well-known directors who star in this film, which is Sidney Pollack, who directed one of my favourite films, Out of Africa, and then Todd Field, who is the director of Tar, played Nick Nightingale. And I just think
he's the pianist.
He's the pianist, which I think is just super interesting.
Director. Okay.
I didn't know where you're going with this.
Okay.
I just think that's quite an interesting little.
Yeah. I was going to say I had one more thing as well. It was mainly about, how his whole thing about like, I'm a doctor, I am super important. Like, don't you know? So the original novella was, I'm going to try and get this right, was written in 1926. And in 1926, a doctor is definitely going to be an important person. So I feel like maybe that's been pulled through from the novella. And just a side note on it, what's really interesting about the book, when I first read it, I thought it's going to be completely different to the film. It is almost exactly like the film, except set in 1926. It's bizarre. Obviously, there are some things changed. Obviously, like he rides there's no cars. It's like a horse and coach, but it is almost exactly like it, complete with the wife when she explains her dreams. They're much longer and more detailed. So this is why I was sort of like, I got to give this film another look. And having seen it being lifted from the page, I was just like, how did they make this book into this film? But he's done it already. It was just, it all seemed to fit into place.
A book set in the 1920s, you can kind of almost see why you know, we talk about 1999 being a different time, 1920 being an even more different time.
Yeah.
So had a wife ostensibly said I had a sex dream about someone else in the 1920s, not saying it's right then, but I can understand more then why he would spiral and go down this weird route.
True.
But pre-millennia, just like, I was still thinking...
I guess men don't change.
Well, yeah, but it's the fact... Also, had they not been at that party and Nicole said to him, oh, did you have sex with those women, as if that was perfectly acceptable if he had done, but then she's not allowed to think about...
She's not even allowed to think about another man.
Yeah.
It's insane, isn't it? The double standard
Yeah.
is ridiculous.
Let's head to the scores.
I'm Sam Clements, host of the 90 Minutes or Less Film Festival, another podcast in the Stripped Media family, a podcast that celebrates movies under 90 minutes long. Each episode, I'm joined by a special guest who selects a movie to join our prestigious lineup. Past guests have included fellow Stripped Media family members Martin and Sam from Song by Song, and Kobe from Flixwatcher, and Dave from The Wire Stripped. Search for us now on the app you're currently listening to this podcast, or join us at 90minfilmfest.com.
Welcome to the Flixwatcher scores. They're always out of 5. You can have decimal places if you wish. And we'll start with you, please, Katie, with your recommendability.
I would definitely give this a 4. I wouldn't go the whole way with a 5 just because you've got to give space for the orgy, because that might not be for everyone. I think that's the part that will shock everyone first.
Well, how boring it is.
How dare you?
I think because like we've seen obviously things like Rome and Game of Thrones and stuff like that since then, and that's just on like standard TV. So, well, it's HBO, I guess, both of those. So maybe that's a bit different. Sorry, I interjected.
That's fine. The reason why I say most people will be like, oh my God, there's an orgy in this, and not think about like there's an underage girl like having sex with men in her dad's place of work. Think about that. It's more like that's the first thing you would probably be shocked by. And then you'd have to take a minute to be a bit shocked by everything else. But I'd recommend it as a 4 because I think everyone should see this at least once.
Liz?
Yeah, I'm the same. I think it's one of those films that you should see. It's Stanley Kubrick. It's a really well-known film. There's a lot to talk about, and I think everybody should probably watch it and see what they think. Yeah, it's funny when you're talking about the orgy and the sex scenes. I remember, like I said, when I saw it when it came out, they made a big deal about all of that at the time. And like you said, Kobe, about Game of Thrones, times have changed an awful lot. Now, I think it's not tamer, but I think we're more used to seeing more confronting things now, perhaps.
Desensitized.
Desensitized, yes, that's it.
Although on the TV edit, I think it was, they superimposed people in front of the sex, and it looks terrible.
I meant to try and find that, but I was also like, what would I type into Google? Like,
Not on a work computer.
With that, yeah.
Censored orgy scene from Eyes Wide. No, let's not even bother, because that's just going to be...
I'm sure it's
that's
on
going to
YouTube.
stay in my history. Helen?
I'm surprised that you rated it quite highly. I mean, if this was me rating it personally...
Well, it is you, isn't it?
Well, it is, but I'm recommending it to people. And I think it's a hard one to recommend because it wouldn't be the first Kubrick film I would recommend to someone if they were like, I've never seen any. It wouldn't be top. And I think we've all kind of like seen it years and years ago. And I don't know, I feel that if you're coming to this, if you're like in your 20s now coming to this, I feel that you would probably watch it as a comedy. And that it would be very... I'm not sure how contextual it would feel to people. It's a super weird one. I watched recently The Comfort of Strangers, which I feel like this film is sort of like, if you like that, which is quite dark and a bit weird and strange sex vibes, you will probably like this. But then I realised then that's not really a very big Venn diagram to go in. It's 2 hours and 38 minutes as well. It's 2 hours and 38 minutes of Nicole Kidman and Tom Cruise not shagging, which, you know, people were very up for the premise of that in 1999, which I withhold being the best year for cinema ever. So the recommendability, I think I'm going to give it a 3.7.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
That's
gosh,
still, I thought you were going to go way lower than that.
Yeah, I was expecting lower.
Well, you gave it 4, so I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll I'll be a bit more generous. It's a weird one. I think you have to go into it with your eyes wide open and kind of forget that in 1999, orgies on film or TV were not a thing, and this is what Stanley Kubrick thought the people wanted.
I'm going to go for a 2 here. It's just boring. That's the thing as well. It's just boring and dumb from my point of view. And when you said about it being a comedy, Helen, my mind went to 2 scenes. One being nearly getting off with the sex worker's roommate, and then a whip pan reveal that she's HIV positive. That was almost like something out of the film The Room, where this mind-blowing context came out of nowhere.
I haven't seen The Room, so don't.
Well, I'm not going to give anything. Hold on, how can you have gone to Prince Charles Cinema so often and not seen The Room?
I know. I mean, I just haven't. I know everybody said I still haven't done it yet.
Holy shit! You need to go. You need to see The Room in Prince Charles Cinema.
Yes,
watch it first by yourself.
I've been told.
You don't need to watch it more than once.
No.
Watch it once before, and then watch it in Prince Charles Cinema, and it's honestly the best cinematic experience I've had in my entire life. So,
oh, wow.
The Room is dumb, but the bit about The Room is that like each scene just flips like that with no kind of rationale, in the same way that scene happened. And also like with the scene where he's there with a dead guy, and then suddenly the dead guy's daughter like throws herself at him, and so it's just like in that kind of bad comedic way. Not like it was out to be a comedy. It was just like funny by like what the fuck is this exactly? It was kind of set up to be like the next erotic thriller, not after Basic Instinct, but that kind of following that trajectory. But the thing with that orgy and just what happens in the film is like Basic Instinct and Body of Evidence and all those things were just better. They're just like better films as well. They just had more.
They're totally different films though.
Yeah, I think the definition of better is varied.
Yeah.
Well, this.
It's not an erotic thriller, that's the thing.
Not in the same way, no.
I think that's how it was kind of marketed. Because the first trailer was like, oh, here's Nicole Kidman again naked. You can see a bum bum. And everyone then thought, okay, and this is the start of the film. Wow, this is going to be one amazing film.
That's the trick, isn't it?
Yeah, going down that route. And then it just turns out to be a petulant man story. Sorry, I keep on going back to that.
The thing is, it's Kubrick. So if people thought that Kubrick was going to do an erotic thriller, I think they weren't paying attention to the director.
Yeah.
Helen said, I can't remember what you said about being a Kubrick film, but Kubrick, he hasn't got a style, really. It's not like, even like Spielberg, there's not, the Kubrick does the Kubrick film in a Kubrick way. And I think if you weren't a film lover, you wouldn't be able to necessarily tell which one's a Kubrick film from not a Kubrick film. Like going from Platoon to this, to The Shining, they all look beautiful. Maybe they've got the styles cinematically, but also the way the story's told. I think it's difficult to pin Kubrick down. And that's part of what makes him great, I think.
Yeah, totally different stories, but a certain cinematic style that he has.
I think you can tell when you're watching a Kubrick film, though.
What gives it away
Even
to
just
you?
by the length.
This is a long film, it must be Kubrick.
There's like a lot of space.
Yes, that's a good way of putting it.
There's just a lot of space between things
happening.
Like there's room for people to walk that corridor, to walk through the field, or like there's room. Nothing is quick.
I was thinking that because I think if it was, it's the scene when he gets the costume. If it was a different kind of film, he would walk in, he'll say, I'll give you extra money if you give it to me now. It would then cut to Tom Cruise wearing the costume in the, you know what I mean?
You'd be there, yeah.
You would cut out the scene with the taxi driver and what, you know what I mean? Like, and then suddenly he's there, and it would be a differently paced kind of film, whereas Kubrick is a more slow experience.
So Kubrick's Kubrick in his pacing. So like the Platoon would have gone straight to Vietnam.
I have never seen Platoon. I don't.
It's on Netflix as we record it.
Is it? I want to see it at the Prince Charles.
Yeah,
so I'm
not
waiting.
Platoon, because that's not him. Full Metal Jacket.
Full Metal Jacket. Yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
I'm not a fan of that one.
I haven't seen it. No.
Yeah, Full Metal Jacket is on Netflix. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's also like he kind of finds beauty in the mundane, and kind of just everything is just so considered and so thought out, and you just know that each shot would have been just agonizing to film with him.
Yeah.
But for the better though, like 95 takes to do one thing.
That's just his vibe. Like, they don't make him like him anymore, which, for actors and production crews, that's probably, and for studios, that's probably a good thing, because
It
you
cost a
wouldn't
lot of
survive
money.
these days. Yeah.
95 takes, shot on film.
Yes, it takes
Reportedly was not a very nice man at all, but he produced this fascinating body of work that people keep returning to and continues to influence a lot of cinema going forwards.
This took 2 and a bit years to film, from what I understand.
Was it really?
Yeah. Like,
I don't remember.
I think he's got the record for the longest film
That
shoot
sounds-
ever.
That sounds insane.
I thought Boyhood.
And
I thought Boyhood would be the longest.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see how they, repeat viewing score, Katie.
I give this a 5
Oh, wow.
because, for a very specific reason, this is a Christmas movie. So every year you can watch this at Christmas. Because like most Christmas films or like stereotypical Christmas films are the same. And then there's always the big debate about like, is it a Christmas film if it does this or this or this? But this feels very embedded at Christmas. Christmas is around every corner. It's even mentioned at some point, I think, about presents. So I feel like this is an alternative Christmas film, very different vibe to a family-friendly Christmas film. But this is something that I feel like you can watch this every year. I watch it every year at Christmas without fail.
So you got Miracle on 34th Street versus Orgy on 45th Street.
It's not on a street, though. It's in the countryside. Although, I don't watch Miracle on 31st Street, but I do. Yeah, I get what you mean. You watch that first. Double bill with
Home Alone, Lost in New York.
Perfect. That's the winner.
Petulant Man.
Yes. That's it. Home Alone 2 followed by Eyes Wide Shut. You got your starter and then you got your main course.
Liz, repeat viewing score.
Yeah, I hadn't seen this for years, so I was interested in watching it again, knowing that it's not my favourite Stanley Kubrick film and that I never did love it as much as some people did. So I was interested in watching it again. But I think my opinion from when I originally watched it still stands. I would say I did enjoy seeing Tom Cruise in this kind of role after seeing him in Mission Impossible, doing these action films, seeing him in this kind of role and what a good actor he is in something slower. And I think he's a really good actor. I think Nicole Kidman, actually, I think she's a phenomenal actress, but I don't think this is her best role at all. I don't think she's great in this, and I feel I'm bad saying that.
Do you think she's been given the text there to perform well, or is it just literally she's just not shown?
I don't know. I just don't think she's really good in this. I think he is, and I just don't think she is for some reason. But I generally love her, so I'm surprised to even hear myself say that. Because now that I've seen it again, I don't think I would watch it again for years. I'm not bothered. I don't know if I'll ever watch it again, but maybe I will. I'll give it a 2.
Helen?
I was watching this thinking, yes, this is a Christmas film. I can definitely get on board with that. In the same way, The Thing could be a Christmas film. There's a lot of snow in it. That's my kind of thinking. I don't really go down the traditional Christmas film. Like The Muppets, yes. Whereas this is much more my wheelhouse. It is quite long. So good to see it at Christmas. I did really enjoy rewatching it, and I'm glad I did because I got a lot more out of it this time. So I'm going to give it a 3.5. I
might do a Katie, a reverse ferret in 10 years and watch it and find it to be like the holy grail of filmmaking. I doubt it, but I'll happily watch it again in 10 to 15 years and I may report back, see what happens then. That's going to equate to a score of 1.89. A small screen score, Katie.
Thing is, I never actually saw this on the big screen. Because I only ever saw.
You needed to?
No.
Have you missed out?
Yeah. No, I don't think I have. It's cinematic in its own way, but I think it's actually better on the small screen. But I'm probably biased because that's the only way I've seen it. So I'd give it a 4 for the small screen. I think it works.
Liz?
Yeah, I think it works on the small screen. I mean, I generally think all films better at the cinema, but in this case, I think watching it at home is perfectly fine. So I'd give it 3.5.
Helen?
Yeah, I would like to see this at the cinema. I've just had a look on the Prince Charles listing. It's not currently on, but it's one that I think would be really good to see on the big screen. I've only seen it on the small screen though, so I'm going to give it a 4 as well.
I'm going to give it a 5. I would not care to see this in the cinema. Engagement score. Katie?
Yeah, so my original probably would have been like, when I first saw it, it would have been like 1. But obviously it's a twist. I would say 4. I wouldn't give it a 5 just because there are moments where I'm sort of like, okay, we're getting to the point, even though I know where we're going with this. So I'd give it a 4 for engagement. Because again, I want to know. I want to know how it goes.
Yeah, Liz.
Yeah, I was sort of interested, but I wouldn't say I was totally engaged. So I did want to see it again, but I think because it's so slow and it's, like I said, not my favourite film, I'm probably going to give it, I'll say 2.5.
Helen.
I don't know about you, Katie and Liz, but I find the way she puts her bra on really fascinating. I'm not one of those. Maybe I've been doing it wrong, but I do it differently.
I do it differently as well.
I only realised recently that some women can't do their bras up, like behind their back. They have to flip their bra around. And
Yeah, I
was like,
didn't
"What?"
know that either.
I only found that out recently, and I was like, well, I thought everyone could do that.
I can do both, but for speed, little flip. Anyway, little things like that when you take the time to be fully engaged. Yeah, I'm going to give it 4. I just found it really interesting. I don't think everyone else is going to be as engaged as me, but I was.
I was quite engaged. I was interested where it went. I kind of wish the pianist had been beaten up. I kind of wish that there was something a bit darker about the way that lady actually died, who helped him out in the orgy. I was kind of happy.
But how do you know it wasn't? How do you know that she wasn't murdered?
Well, I mean, just based on discussions now. So in my head canon,
I had thought that she was killed, and I thought the pianist was killed as well.
yeah. So that's in my head canon. I'm like, I'm going for the darker route.
I did go for the darker route, but it sounds like Helen and Katie both thought not.
Well, I mean, he's opened the door and you've decided that's the one that you're gonna, you're stepping through, which I think is what makes the interesting kind of films, is that you can interpret them in different ways and it's not spoon feeding you or being completely prescriptive. So either of those are outcomes that just depends on how you want to take the story.
The thing is, because it's never really answered, he could have died. She could have been killed.
Well, the fact that a man, according to Alan Cumming, hotel receptionist,
You wouldn't trust what he was saying. I'm not sure he's exactly the most reliable witness.
Yeah.
But he's seen some things.
Yes.
well, yeah. Well, I'm choosing to go down the dark route because that sounds more interesting to me as an outcome. My score was 4, so that gives an overall score of 3.56813.
Wow.
That's pretty
Bigger
good.
than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. At the start of the conversation, I thought, "Woof, it's gonna get a beating," but no.
Yeah, fair play.
Survived.
Thank you so much, Katie and Liz, for bringing us Eyes Wide Shut. I don't think I've seen it since it came out on VHS, whatever it was, what format it was at the time.
Yeah.
So it was worth a rewatch, and now hopefully my memory will persist, so I don't have to watch it again. Thank you so much. Can you tell us where we can find you guys online, and we'll say goodbye to the listeners.
So you can find me online at shelikesmovies_.
And I am Liz Slade on everything. Liz, Slayed.
Love it. Thank you so much, guys. It's been a pleasure. Genuinely, it's been a pleasure talking about it, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
for
you.
coming on. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Yeah.
Cheers.
Bye.
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 Enjoyed this episode of Flixwatcher podcast? Why not leave us a 5-star review on iTunes? You can also follow us at FlixWatcherPod on Twitter, and we're at FlixWatcher on Instagram. Thanks as always to the mighty people for their mighty, mighty tunes, and Rockwood Audio's editing skills. If you're looking to get your podcast edited as sweet as this, get in touch with Rockwood, ROKK Wood Audio. Tell them Flixwatcher sent you.
You just heard a Stripped Media production.